If that person is an idiot, then that's going to be more entertaining for people. But at the same time, they're going to be on your side because they're going to see right through it.
We aren't just a video production company. We are business solution driven creatives. And this is More Than Meets the Eye.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of More Than Meets the Eye podcast, where we talk about what's behind the person, the practice, or the product, especially when it comes to marketing, because we are business solution driven creatives. And I want to welcome you to JT Visuals. Whether you're listening on your way home or it's in the morning on the way to work, on the way to your business, or wherever you are, I want to thank you for tuning in and watching or listening. I would love to know where you're listening from and what you're doing, because that's just information that's fun to have. Today, I really am going to set the stage of how to put legs on your podcast. How to start a podcast or a long form. This could apply to YouTube a little bit too. How to make sure it has legs so that you don't run out of content fast, and that it actually helps people and helps build an audience. So that way you always retain the attention that you need to leverage in a good way, good leverage, how to help people, help more people, and help your business and help your team through marketing and through podcasting, making better content. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but what if you didn't have to hunt for your next client? What if there's a way that you could spend less than 3 hours per month, even as a busy entrepreneur, and start attracting your ideal clients so that they come to you rather than you have to always go to them? You could be the best of your industry, but we want to make you the best known. And you can get started on this for free on our website. Go to jtvisuals.com and look for our ideal client profile generator. We've trained AI to come up with who you should reach out to and who you need to become to be that go-to expert of your industry and city. So what are you waiting for? Go to jtvisuals.com. That's jtvsuals.com, jtvsuals.com, and get started today. Think about this. If there's one thing you walk away from, or before you scroll out or whatever is happening, that you know these three words. Be a hub. Be a hub. Build a platform. Build a place for people to come and to be creative. This is along the lines something that Steve Jobs has said before. And when you are in this space and you've built something that connects people, then it becomes way better of a resource for anybody and for everybody and for you. Consider being a hub. And that's the same thing for your podcast. When you come up with, man, should I start a podcast or should I start a YouTube show? How will it have legs? Well, of course, you can put a lot of strong legs on there just by React content. We've been talking about this for a little bit. If you've listened, then you know. But if you haven't and you're tuning in, thank you. This is your first one. React content is amazing. It's one of the best ways to hack your growth while also still having substance within it. So that way it's not just some flashy thing and not some false hack. It's like an actual shortcut, but with actual value that's included with it. So be a hub. Do React content. Now, there's another way that you can do this to make sure it has legs, and that is customer stories. Bring on real customers, especially at the beginning, because you can document their journey. You document your journey and you can document theirs. So when you document the process and you have those customer stories, they act as reviews, they act as user experience, they act as testimonials, all things that you can't say about yourself. You can try all you want, but it's more credible when you have other people doing it. Now, also, if that person is an idiot, then that's going to be more entertaining for people, but at the same time, they're going to be on your side because they're going to see right through it. So don't worry about that. I'm not the kind of person like Caleb Hammer, if you guys have listened to Caleb Hammer, where you're going to like really just beat on someone or whatever. What he does on his podcast is it's become his like main stream of income. And it's been so successful, they don't even want to stop, even though like that's where he made all of his money and getting all of his leads into the business was with a podcast in the middle of it. And he would bring on people, and that would be their first screening. That would be their first initial consultation or their conversation. So they would sign up to have financial coaching with them. And I don't know how exactly they vet their people, but they would go and look, and they go through like an extreme process because the style of the show is that he's going to be ridiculous at them, and they might even cry, this or that, and he can come across as really mean, but that's kind of the style of the show they wanted to go for. So they actually are nice on the front side where they set them up, and they say it several times that it's going to be like this, because that's just the way the show is. It's cheeky like that is how he says it. But the point is, he brings on new customers, and that's when he's like setting up or fresh reacting to their profile. So they could like fill out what was happening in their financial world. Like, here's the form you're supposed to fill out, the questionnaire. And then he first reviews that questionnaire live there and on the podcast. And it's with them as a new customer, even though like you're not sure if you're going to even be able to really help them or not. So at the very least, he's getting good content and good advice for other people who don't want to be like them, or it sparks something in real time of how to do something. And that is an incredible way to do it. You don't have to go that style, but think about like Dave Ramsey, whether you like him or not, that when they film their show, they have live callers who they know zero information about, but they're learning that information there in real time to be able to help them. And the point I'm making is like, to start testimonials, you don't have to wait for that ending of the customer success yet. You don't have to wait for that. You can start and record it on your podcast platform to get content so people can see your expertise and how you help people in real time, because you're helping someone on air on the podcast. And then they start wondering, hey, that could be me, or I could be on the show. That starts becoming a hub for their business to be able to help people. And then it's actually become even more popular now that they get very, very selective, because you can only have so many podcasts per year. And surely they get more than 52 people a year. Then you get more selective, and you can just do it based on helping the show versus helping the person, and really gauge all of that. Now, this is something to really consider. So you got React content, you got customer stories. Now, if you don't want to go that route, if you've been around for a while and you want to start a podcast show, bring them on in the success or in the experience, and they've been around for a while, and they can talk about what they love about your brand and your business and how it helps them. But you don't say that, they say it, and then it doesn't look like you're trying to say a bunch of stuff yourself about yourself. It's more credible when other people say it. So bringing on guests is really this good thing to do on a podcast. And if you bring on people that you've already served and they're happy, then they're going to express that on the show naturally. Use that as testimonials, and people listen to that. And then there's your marketing. And your marketing, when you run ads with a testimonial, or you run it on the longer form of a podcast, and they can really dig into their story, then you really get all the ins and outs. Have you ever seen a story online that's really well cut and put together? It's concise, it's really cool, and it's very effective. And we shoot stories like that all the time. However, if you had another version of that where you're on a back porch and you're with that person and with the interviewer, and you're part of the conversation, you get to hear more of the raw and real stuff, the stuff that didn't make it, or the stuff that they didn't want to say, because when you're public, it changes things a little bit. So there's a different way that conversation goes. And when you put it on a podcast, it's kind of like the same thing. Of course, it's still public, but at the same time, they're saying it in a more detailed way than they would have when they're sitting down in the hot seat in front of a camera sharing their story. Or maybe they haven't shared at all, but they feel way more comfortable, way more passionate about it, because in the podcast, it's more conversational. So you get what I'm saying, where guests really help give your podcast legs. You could also mix in or solely go this way, and to use it as a lead magnet to help attract your ideal clients. Because when you have a podcast show and you invite someone who's a potential client to be on the podcast, they're more inclined to say yes to go and meet with you, for one. And then for two, they really enjoy it. And if they don't, then maybe you learn something and you didn't waste your time in a meeting. Have you ever wasted your time in a meeting before? Well, if you put them on air, then it could be more beneficial because you're going to get clips and pull from who they know. So at the very least, you accomplish that and you still grew your channel and grew your marketing, grew your branding. But at the most, the best thing that could happen is you created this experience that's unforgettable with a potential client that you want. And so then they'll always remember and be like, yeah, I was on there. Yeah, this. And they usually, you can require it too, if they're a guest, to take a photo and post it and share it, and that they're doing this podcast with you. And then there's more outreach and it's more user-generated content. So they have a completely different network than if you took their photo. Let me explain that for a second. There's something called UGC content, and that's what this becomes, what I'm talking about. UGC content is user-generated content. Why this helps is because you get someone else's thoughts on a review and they give honest reviews, and then they have a completely different audience and a completely different reach than what you would have had, even with targeted ads, even with all the reach you already have. So when you bring on someone to do user-generated content and they post on their channel, you don't take their content and post it on your channel. That defeats the purpose. You can, but it's not going to go as far as if they posted themselves. And then if you post it on your channel, maybe just make sure it's an ad. But if they do it and they post it, they're going to find their network, their family, their friends, their colleagues, their business connections are all going to like and comment. And then it reaches them as well. So UGC is better. And if you bring on guests, get them to provide UGC content. And there's another way now. So we did new customers, we did existing customers, you could do a mix or all in with potential customers. And then now forget about customers, let's just build the show to get a lot of audience. And then in that audience is a potential customer. So that is also another play that you can do. Now, if you do that, you want to make sure they do have that reach so they can help grow your show, so they can help your podcast. And you get very selective and don't just say yes to everybody. You need to say yes and have some sort of form. So then when they come on, you know that they're going to do all the things that help grow your show and reach more people. So that way you can reach your potential customer and grow your show. So then you know that your podcast has legs because there's growth involved with all of those things. And you also know the content pressure. Do you ever feel that pressure of like coming up with new content? We have lots of ideas and lots of idea generators. We usually don't run into idea issues because of that, but we just run into more of what should I say that's most relevant for today, and it's more just picking it. But if you have guests, then you know exactly who you're talking about, and if you're good at being curious about people and guiding conversations, but asking questions as well, then you don't even have to come that prepared. You can show up for 90 minutes, sit down and have a conversation with someone on a podcast or longer, depending on how you're doing the podcast, and have this very detailed conversation that's going to fulfill all of your social media backside and your advertisements, and you get the long form for YouTube content for more attention, and you can collaborate and tag them. You get the picture. Like, there's so much you can do with a podcast based on the experience. It's more than meets the eye in the podcast. It's actually more than you ever thought because of those things. It's the like phantom benefits. You ever buy a new house and then there's phantom costs, the things you didn't calculate, or you start a new business but didn't think about all the added expenses that people say now you need, and then you realize, oh shoot, I do need this, and then you got to pay for it and you're like, crap. Does that ever happen? Well, there's phantom benefits too. The things that you don't think about and the things you don't calculate oftentimes because it's just hard for us to wrap our minds around it. When you have a podcast, specifically more of a podcast because you can bring guests, and guests is the answer to everything. You're going to start seeing a lot more guests on here. If you do a YouTube channel, it's not exactly the right setup. You can do it. You could, I guess, but it's more like a podcast, so might as well add in the podcast elements, which is audio-only listeners as well. And then it's more conversational. You can get somewhat conversational on YouTube and it'd be fine. I see a lot of people do that, but more often than not, you're gonna get better results and better reach, and then you're gonna really start attracting your ideal clients. So if you're ready to begin that journey, then check out the description below. There's a free tool in there, and we'd love to have you join our school community to really start growing your business and to start the process of attracting your ideal clients. If you are in the Kansas City area and you would love full production for a podcast and you want to start one and start with a call just to see if it's a good fit for all of us, we'd love to have that call, set up that appointment. But also, even if you're not in the Kansas City area, we could either one time fly out and then go and set up a podcast studio for you for a large one-time cost and then put you on our editing only plan. Or if you have a guru around or someone you know, we can digitally consult with them. And then when it's set up, we can get you on an editing plan. So really we could do this anywhere. If you are up for that and you want to see your brand not just be the best, to be the best, that's up to you. That's up to you and your brand and how you run things. But if you want to be the best known, it's up to you. However, you can delegate that to us. So with all of that in mind, thank you so much for your time. I'm Jared Taylor. Keep doing the reps for your marketing, and I want to encourage you to keep on keeping on.